Okay, good afternoon. My name is Haley Yates. I am the Manager of Strategic Solutions here at UBA. And on behalf of United Benefit Advisors and BerniePortal, I welcome you to today's presentation in our UBA Employee Benefits webinar series. Today's topic is the evolution of HR technology, 3 key insights brokers and employers should know. And our presenters today are Alex Tolbert, the founder and CEO of BerniePortal, as well as Anna Baun, the Director of Client Success. So Alex and Anna, the floor is yours, and just let me know when you'd like to get to the next slide.
Great. Thank you, Haley. Briefly, just a brief introduction about me. I'm originally from Indiana and worked as a broker for 8 years before focusing on BerniePortal. So in 2016, we launched BerniePortal in 2008. In 2016, we began making it available via other brokers. So it was originally built just for the brokerage that my brother and I had started in 2008. But in 2016, began working with brokers across the country. Along the way, we added payroll as a capability, as long as all of the other HR features that an HR person at a small employer needs to effectively run their business. I'll let Anna introduce herself before we get into the topic today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Alex. So similar to Alex, I'm also born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. Went to Indiana University, go Big Red for anybody in the Midwest or from Indiana. I spent right after college the better part of the first 10 years of my career in benefit administration with a company called Hewitt Associates before I got recruited to the payroll side of the house, as Alex had also mentioned. I've spent the last several years as both the Director of Client Services for Paylocity and then subsequently got recruited in a very similar capacity to work for another competitor, ADP. So I've spent the last several years running really incredible customer service teams at both of those organizations, of which I'm immensely grateful for. So looking forward to discuss today's topic with everybody.
Great. So today we're thrilled to talk about something that we're extremely passionate about, which is the evolution of HR technology. And that evolution has seen what many are calling a unifying of the different point solutions HR has been having to manage for many, many years into single platforms. We're going to talk about some key insights that brokers and employers should know and be aware of to help understand why and how this transformation is happening. So Haley, if you could go to the next slide. We're going to cover today current challenges with third-party integrations, the importance of the employee experience, and how disparate point solutions impact that experience, and what the downline impacts of that are. The importance of an all-in-one solution. We'll talk a little bit at the end about BerniePortal's offering, and then how all-in-one can really create value for everyone in the ecosystem in unexpected ways before we get into Q&A. But before we get started, we wanted to ask a question. Haley, if you could go to the next slide. The phone in your pocket, is it an iPhone or is it an Android? And the reason this question is important, most of you probably know an iPhone is actually even more expensive than an Android. It is also an all-in-one solution. It's an example of a decision that you've made in your life, your personal life. If you have an iPhone, you've spent more money on that iPhone than you could have on an Android to have an all-in-one experience. And the all-in-one experience that I'm referring to is that Apple with an iPhone controls both the operating system of the iPhone and the hardware, like the actual phone itself that you hold in your hand. Android is Google's operating system. But if you have an Android-powered phone, The phone is not manufactured by Google. It's manufactured by a different company. Most people would say that leads to a poor user experience. That because the hardware manufacturer of the phone doesn't control the operating system company, Google, doesn't control the hardware, they're not able to deliver as good of a user experience. And what most people would say is it just doesn't work as well as an iPhone. And as you think about the implications of that, the same rationale for why you've chosen iPhone versus Android is why all-in-one is probably where you're going to end up one day. Or if you're a broker joining us, it's probably where your clients are going to end up one day when it comes to their HR offering of what they ask their employees to deal with when it comes to the things that HR wants them to do. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get into the presentation. And Anna, if you could speak a little bit here about what you've seen in third-party integrations and why they're inadequate.
Yeah, of course. So if we kind of dive into, we've identified here really three, but I imagine that many of us probably have a longer list than this. So if we focus for the sake of today's presentation on these three, we've identified lack of alignment among the various service providers, the hidden cost on both a micro and a macro scale, and then the poor user experience for HR and employees. And we're going to, as Alex just kind of alluded to a moment ago, speak about those in a little bit more specifics here in just a moment. So Haley, if you want to go ahead. So if we specifically focus more on some things like the lack of alignment, we, as BerniePortal, we used to integrate with payroll companies ourselves as well. But what we've noticed in the industry is payroll companies are often brokerages themselves. And I can speak firsthand, more so even speaking with our broker partners, is those payroll companies, because they are becoming brokerages themselves, we are finding that in a number of instances, our broker partners' business is being absorbed specifically by those payroll companies. Specifically, also speaking, integrations are often very brittle and they're very prone to breaking. And those opportunities to enhance sort of that overall user experience are lost at each one of those individual point solutions as they're all fighting for their own prioritization and their own agendas. So Haley, you can go ahead and move on. And Alex, feel free to jump in at any point if you need to. So then if we really kind of look at more of the hidden cost on this sort of micro scale, the ongoing maintenance is necessary for all of these various systems, which we know can be really costly and time consuming. The combination of those multiple platforms from different companies really kind of creates this very like Frankenstein-like system that fails to integrate smoothly. Employees and HR oftentimes then lose very valuable time troubleshooting issues, waiting on support. And that, what we find, is really takes away from the overall productivity, both from your employee base and from sort of that HR party of one that's already really kind of competing with time in and of itself. So if you think about the amount of time, if you are an HR professional, the amount of time that you've spent waiting online trying to get assistance, imagine having to do that with multiple platforms across your business to support your employee base. Haley, you can kind of move on to the next one too. So if we're really kind of speaking more about the hidden costs on a macro scale, really managing those multiple systems can be very cumbersome, and it can lead to really training challenges and inefficiency. So if I think about my teams in my business, if I'm trying to train, let's say, my HR team, I'm trying to have them be a subject matter expert in both payroll and our recruiting platform and our onboarding system and our compliance system, the expertise and time that's needed to manage those multiple platforms, again, is very very, very cumbersome and time consuming. And really what that does is it takes them away from really focusing on the core aspects of the business that will help us grow as an organization. And so training individuals on those multiple systems and having them be effective. And then if we think about the user experience and how much employees really dislike re-entering their information into multiple systems really can become a bit cumbersome. And then that, of course, Haley, leads us into the next slide if you want to progress.
And
Is
then, on that,
yeah.
can I, and Haley, if you don't mind going
Yeah, of
back
course.
to the slide. I just want to share a story about it's a story from our marketing team, and we were looking at different platforms to use to power our marketing efforts at BerniePortal. And one of the platforms we were looking at was HubSpot. HubSpot is the name brand, probably best user experience all in one out there. And there was another system that paired with one or two others would have been less expensive and would have probably gotten the job done. Our marketing leader said to me, I really feel like we need to go with HubSpot, in part because I'm trying to recruit high quality marketing professionals and I need, a strong team, and they really expect to be using the best software tools. They really expect to be using something like HubSpot, not these 2 or 3 systems kind of cobbled together. And that was a powerful argument that carried the day, and we went with HubSpot. I don't want to skip over how big of a deal that is. That same logic applies for HR. So this marketing leader was worried about her own direct reports and whether she would be able to train them. HR is having to train all the employees in the organization. They're not HR's direct reports, so often have to doing it through other managers. And if you counted the number of eye rolls that HR gets when it's multiple different systems, multiple different logins, and you can paper over and say, oh, well, there's SSO, or there's an integration on the back end. The user experience for the employee is still different every single HR system that HR has to ask them to use. And when that happens, it lowers HR's stature in the organization among the employees. Just like that marketing leader was worried that if she said, hey, we went with these 2 platforms, not the best, we didn't go with HubSpot, was something that's perceived to be less, she was worried that, her team will look at her not as not being as effective or not as good. The same applies with HR, which hurts HR's ability to be effective and to raise the bar for the organization, work on everything else. So this is a big hidden cost that if you're an HR person listening, is something I'd really keep in mind, that the employees of the organization, giving them one place to go for at least the vast majority of what you need them to do will pay tremendous dividends. We're going to talk more about it in a minute, but I wanted to share that story now.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so I think this portion of the conversation really just drives home exactly what Alex had mentioned. So even when those backend integrations are working, the front-end experience can be very disjointed for the employee, and then subsequently lots of questions for HR. I almost used a very similar example is imagine the number of instances, if I think about our HR professional here who is a close friend of mine, the number of requests she just gets for assistance in password resets. Imagine having to do that over a large employee base with multiple systems. And I imagine if we've got some HR professionals on the phone today, you can, you're nodding your head there as well. So those different systems have different user interfaces, require that different training, making it just very difficult for employees to get accustomed to using them. And again, as Alex had mentioned, really kind of just creates that lack of cohesion and lower adoption rate, and sort of in some cases a lack of trust for the HR team within those organizations. So Haley, you can go ahead and this if you want. So where we really see, and we wanted to drive this point home today, is where we really see the impact of these multiple systems really show up a lot is when it comes to discussing a really solid onboarding experience for your employees. So if we just think about the life cycle of an employee, right? They're going to potentially one platform to fill out all of their recruitment details. They're submitting their questionnaires. They're applying for the job. Let's say they get extended that opportunity, then there's potentially an entirely separate onboarding experience. You may be even doing paper elections and handing out benefit booklets, which can also be time consuming and costly. Then they're going to an entirely separate system to enroll into their benefits and then process payroll information and so on and so forth. So when we take a look at a good or a great onboarding and seamless experience for an employee as opposed to not, here's some really, I think, impactful statistics that we've gathered from both Gallup and SHRM is 2.6 times, an employee is 2.6 times more likely to be extremely satisfied, not just with their employer, but in their work when they have a great onboarding experience. 58% of those employees are more likely to stay for 3+ years, and 50% of standardized onboarding can increase productivity for your employees, as opposed to the opposite. If we think about a poor onboarding experience, and maybe you can think back to an experience that you have had or an employer or one of your groups that has created that experience or had to create that experience for their own employee base, is when there is a poor, disjointed, time-consuming onboarding process for an employee, there is a 50% lower productivity and disengagement within that group, a 60% increase in turnover rates, and 91% of those new hires have the potential to leave within the first month of their employment. So those are very wildly impactful statistics that really kind of paint the picture. But if we really kind of talk about the reverse or the flip side of that, creating this very cohesive experience. So maybe I'm recruiting in the system, I get an opportunity to really have applying for my job, and I can very seamlessly in the same system move into the onboarding experience where there's a great welcome message from my leadership team or our CEO like Alex. And then in that exact same system, I'm going to enroll into benefits. I can see all of my compliance documents. It's all housed, all of my new hire paperwork is housed in the same place, and you sort of get the point. So I think that is really where we see the impact of an all-in-one system. Alex, I don't know if you have anything that you'd want to add there.
No.
Okay, great. All right. Awesome. So then if we kind of think about where you are in the hierarchy of needs. So if we really kind of think back, if we really kind of think about this framework, it really kind of helps us understand the essential needs of an HR team and how meeting those needs can really drive organizational success for you and your clients. So at the base of the hierarchy, are really the fundamentals such as payroll and benefits. And as we move up this ladder, we really encounter more of that strategic elements like employee engagement and develop. So in those fundamental needs, we're really at the base of that hierarchy. We're talking about the essentials of ensuring the employees are compensated fairly and receiving the necessary benefits. We're moving up then into the operational needs. So, sort of ensuring that employees are onboarded, that things are compliant within your organization, and that effective onboarding that we spoke about a minute ago is really that crucial piece for integrating new hires and ensuring that they understand their roles and responsibilities. And then if we kind of move to the top of that hierarchy is really where the strategic needs of the employee engagement and development really are housed. That engaged employee is more productive, as we just spoke about, and committed to the organization and driving their success. And so meeting all of those levels of the hierarchy of needs is really essential for creating a positive and productive workplace for employees. And that's really where sort of an all-in-one solution really falls.
Well, and I will chime in here. So the HR hierarchy of needs is similar to Maslow's hierarchy, if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy, in that HR can't move to a level higher in the hierarchy until they've addressed the level below. And the bottom level is EFATs, right? Employee-facing administrative tasks. These are the kinds of things where an HR person can spend quite literally all of their time and never move up, never be able to move up to higher level needs in the organization. And these are exactly the kinds of things that an all-in-one HR system can help HR accomplish in a better way for the employees while also minimizing how much time they're spending on them, which means career growth for the HR person is they can begin to focus on higher level items all the way up into and including actually supporting the managers in the organization. And so it goes to hidden costs. It goes to why third-party integrations are inadequate, because they're never really going to help HR rise above the noise of all the employee-facing administrative tasks, like Anna mentioned, with password resets. And I don't know how this system works. It works different than the other system. I mean, I remember when we changed from Windows-based computers. I was talking about this with Haley right before this presentation. We're an Apple company and we have Apple hardware and software. We had at one point Dell computers, like most businesses, with Windows, and we used Microsoft Excel. When we changed from Microsoft Excel to Apple's spreadsheet program called Numbers, it was people lost their minds because it works differently, right? It's two spreadsheet programs. They're both just spreadsheet programs, but they work a little bit differently. And the same thing happens to your employees when you have them go to one system for benefits administration and a different system for clocking in and out. Something else is how we do PTO. They can't remember how these systems work individually because they don't spend enough time in any of them. And that frustration just spills over onto HR. And it's more requests to HR for help. So, getting it all in one place is just a huge value, which is why we're actually, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're going to talk about it in a minute. So, Anna, go ahead.
You're muted, Anna.
Thank you. My apologies. My team was coming in just a second ago. Alex, do you want me to continue with the importance of the all-in-one solution, or do you want to highlight these?
Yeah, I think obviously I'm passionate about this, but if you look in the middle of this screen, the kind of center middle, you'll see the words benefits administration. These words are of paramount importance to the benefits broker. Look at everything else on this screen that the HR client deals with. Benefits administration is important. And there's one time a year at open enrollment where it maybe is paramount importance. But HR has to deal with all of this stuff. And if each one of these is a point solution, if applicant tracking or recruiting software is separate from the onboarding software, is separate from where things are kept up for compliance, is separate from payroll, if you're keeping track of PTO in your Outlook, I mean, you can see how burdensome that really is for HR. And if you're a broker, understanding, having empathy for this, and really meeting HR where they are. Brokers talk about wanting all in one, and brokers want quote to card as kind of an acronym or a phrase used in the insurance industry. Well, HR wants all in one for a lot of the same reasons that the broker does. So sorry, Haley, go ahead. And I'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, yeah, sure. So just to kind of reiterate, so having really when an all-in-one solution is really aligning the HR and the employee experience by providing really that cohesive platform for all HR activities that Alex was referring to just a second ago, that really enhances this overall efficiency and satisfaction, really making it easier for HR to manage processes for employees and to really kind of complete complete those tasks, and really helps them kind of focus back on building the business instead of managing, is what we like to call it too. So yeah.
So here, you can tell from Anna and I and our experience in working with thousands of employers and brokers over the years that we're pretty passionate about how important all-in-one is. But we want to have a few slides here to emphasize, don't just take our word for it. So if you look at this slide, you've got Paycor, TriNet, Gusto, Paylocity, Rippling, Paycom, Paychex, ADP. There's nearly $200 billion worth of market cap value here. And the list could be longer. This is a sampling of companies that compete with brokers every single day that all go to market with the exact same all-in-one messaging because it works. And it works, the all-in-one messaging that they use, their primary way they get meetings, the primary way they get new clients is because it is what HR wants. And Haley, if you could go to the next slide. These are just screenshots from their websites. So from the top left, TriNet, your all-in-one HR platform. Rippling, all in one place. Gusto, manage your team, all in one place. Insperity's all-in-one HR technology platform. ADP, all-in-one solution. Paychex, an all-in-one platform. I mean, it's kind of weird. All these multi-billion-dollar companies would have the exact same messaging they use when they go to market, unless it was so universal that this is what HR ultimately wants. And this is what they're going for. And this is only going to accelerate in the coming years. And Haley, you go to the next slide. And I'll talk a little bit about our offering. So we are dedicated to the broker channel. And we believe the best way to serve small employers and HR people is to do so not competing with their broker, but hand in hand with their broker. The way that we do that is we have a partnership model with the broker that allows the broker to offer the Beethoven edition of our software to all of their clients and prospects. It includes our onboarding feature and our benefits administration feature. And Haley, if you could go to the next slide. Employers can then add the other features, the other BerniePortal features on an a la carte basis. Because all-in-one can mean different things to different small employers. Our time and attendance, clocking in and out. If a small employer doesn't have any hourly employees, they don't need that, for example. So they can choose which features to add and get the all-in-one that they need via their broker with us. Haley, if you could go to the next slide. We just wanted to close out to highlight some ways that all-in-one can create value in unexpected ways. And recruiting is an important example of that. So BerniePortal's recruiting feature allows HR to post automatically on the most popular job sites, such as Indeed, Glassdoor, Monster, and more. And if you've worked in recruiting at all, you know that is of critical importance because those job boards prioritize the jobs that are posted via software platforms like BerniePortal with recruiting. And so if you're a small employer and you're trying to recruit and you're not using a system like this, then in the war for talent, you're already at a disadvantage versus big employers who are recruiting who are using software. Our recruiting feature allows customizable knockout questions because once people have a system like ours integrated with the job boards, they're going to be getting a lot of applicants. And so knockout questions are important. And a branded careers page allows, if you don't have this, then you're having to tell marketing, hey, take this job off our site. Hey, add this job to our site. Maybe marketing has other priorities. And so there's confusion about what jobs are open or not. Because we create a branded careers page, you won't have that. Now, other recruiting standalone point solutions have this as well. What they don't have that BerniePortal is able to have because we're all in one, and Haley, if you could go to the next slide, is we have the ability within our recruiting feature, and HR can toggle this on or off. They can show it just to a single candidate, or they can make it part of what any candidate can see, is that the candidates can see the complete benefits package that the employer offers to job candidates, similar to how active employees see it. The difference versus when a candidate says, "What's your benefits package?" and HR is like, well, I don't really know. And then HR is like, calls a broker, like, I need something, I have this person I'm trying to hire, or even worse. And if you're a broker, hey, can you make me a benefits booklet so that I can show it to candidates? Because our research shows nearly 40% of candidates ask details about the benefits that are offered, which leads HR to asking the broker to create a benefits booklet, which creates all kinds of compliance and other potential problems. But because we're all in one and the benefits are already being offered to active employees, you can just allow candidates to see the exact benefits the same way an active employee does. So the candidate is going to get a much more professional and clean experience understanding what the benefits are before they join, because HR is using it all in one here with us versus trying to cobble together a lot of point solutions. So Haley, if you can go to the next slide. And we've got a few questions here so far. The first question, if this person could clarify, is the broker facing only or for clients? BerniePortal is a full HR payroll benefits system for the employer. We distribute it via broker partners, and brokers have their own login area, and brokers can, there's a whole lot of reasons for brokers to help their clients with BerniePortal. What we've been talking about today are the benefits for HR, of all in one in general. And then here at the end, some specific highlights about BerniePortal. The next question we have is, what if a client doesn't want to
Can you hear
leave?
me?
Sorry, the next question is, what if a client doesn't want to leave their payroll system, but they want to use BerniePortal? They can absolutely do that. There's no problem doing that. When it comes to benefit deductions, BerniePortal has reports that they can use and can send alerts to say, hey, this payroll deduction needs to be updated. I think it's worth noting, and we haven't really talked about it, I think Anna alluded to it. We built integrations with all of the major, or several major payroll companies. And what we found was that the misalignment that Anna talked about at the beginning of the presentation caused a lot of problems. And we ended up taking down all those integrations and terminating all those agreements, even with the likes of some very large payroll companies, and building our own payroll system, because we saw that ultimately HR maybe would say, I want an integration between my payroll system and my benefit system. What HR really wanted when they said they wanted integration is that they wanted to never have to worry about payroll and benefits being aligned. They wanted to never get questions from employees saying, I can't use, or how do I use, I lost my login to this or that. They wanted just everything to work perfectly, kind of like your iPhone does, right? They just kind of wanted everything to work. And delivering on that via integrations with other companies, we realized was never going to happen. Pricing for the platform. So BerniePortal has a flat rate price for our broker partners that is based on the number of producers or account managers depending on, account manager is a title that some brokerages use differently. But it's a flat rate based on the number of producers or account managers that the broker has. So if it's a hub, it would be a much larger price than if it's an independent agency. And the pricing starts like for your typical independent agency at a flat $750 a month. And there's a lot more that the brokerage gets as well, that as far as support and help with the product, that would be worth exploring a different venue. What system limitations does BerniePortal have that brokers need to be aware of with regards to benefits administration and carrier integrations? BerniePortal does not have any system limitations with respect to carrier integrations. We can support a wide variety of integration options for getting eligibility from BerniePortal to the carriers. Some carriers, and I'm thinking specifically about Blue Cross plans, don't accept electronic eligibility under a certain threshold, a small employer. But even then, we have carrier form mapping, so we can map to the insurance company's forms so that the eligibility can be transmitted that way. But integrations is a whole extremely important topic whenever a broker is evaluating BerniePortal, that we are very careful to have. The next question, how involved is the account management team in implementing BerniePortal? That's a great question. So I'm going to interpret that question to start with the broker. And actually, Anna, could you fill this one? So if a broker is wanting to implement like the benefits administration capability of BerniePortal, could you walk through from if they'd have an account manager and how we would go about helping them with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you tossed this question over to me, Alex. Thank you. So having come from the industry, I'll just tell a little story. I realize that everyone says the implementation and the ongoing service is absolutely spectacular. And I truly wish all of you could hear how many times since joining BerniePortal, I tell Alex, this is a true differentiator for us in comparison to other people. And if I could just get everybody to understand how impactful our teams are really, that would be wonderful. And not just hear it as lip service, because again, having come from the industry, I realize that we all say that and many times it falls a bit short of what people are expecting or hoping for. I can say though that our teams are incredibly hands-on. So from a broker perspective, as Alex had mentioned, if we're kind of going down that path, we have a dedicated operations team that will assist for those who are interested in build outs. Our team has nearly a 95 NPS results. That team is absolutely exceptional. I think some of the feedback that we get most frequently is how quickly and accurately we do builds for our broker partners. Most happen less than 72 hours or less. And then you also have access just from the build perspective to all of our leadership members. So you have direct access oftentimes to our leader over our operations team who's helping do those direct build outs along with me as the director of client success. We do regular check-ins just to ensure that you're having a really great experience. And that if there is any pain point that you experience, that you'll have all my contact information as you onboard. Once our broker partners are onboarded, though, you'll have a dedicated account manager from our team who's equally then going to help you sort of after that post build out process, who's going to be incredibly hands-on to learn the ins and outs of your business, but then to also help you get integrated into our system, to help also be a strategic partner for you and understand how we can help you increase revenue and support your book of business and even grow your organization as well. From an employer perspective, we have an equally exceptional team. The leader and myself are equally hands-on as it relates to the onboarding process for things like payroll and any of our other ancillary products from an employer perspective. We are very, very communicative. We have regular touch bases, and just kind of an extension of that, many of those groups also get exposure oftentimes to even our development team. I think one of the things that we also pride ourselves on a lot is hearing from you all around what things you'd like to see done differently, where you want to, see enhancements in the systems, what works well for you, what's not. And then we also have a really strong partnership with our development team to make those things really sort of come to fruition, which we hear from a lot of our partners is a real godsend, for the lack of a better phrase, because it really is our entire team, our entire BerniePortal team is really passionate about making sure that you have an exceptional experience, timely and accurate. Alex, I don't know if you'd have anything you want to add to that.
Well, if you could speak, so if I'm a broker and I have a client that I want to implement, with BerniePortal, like who do I email? Like, and then what should I expect will happen?
Yeah, so if you have a group that you want to implement with BerniePortal, you're going to email your direct account manager, who is going to assist you, with that process, and then connect you with all of the right individuals internally to get those things set up. So if we're connecting carrier feeds, if we're doing benefit build outs for you, if you need to connect those groups with our employer success team, we will do, we'll really kind of handle all of the ins and outs. We'll articulate to you the implementation timelines and such. I don't know, Alex, if there's anything more specifically that you're thinking of.
No, yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, the idea is you have a single point of contact, you have an account manager.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're there to help make sure you interface with everybody here optimally. Specifically, if you have a group that you're doing a build out, the operations team will do that build out in partnership with your team, doing the heavy lifting.
Yep.
Anna mentioned the 3-day turnaround, or less than 72 hours. So once the information is submitted to them, they'll do the heavy lifting and then do a walkthrough with your team to verify before it's released to the group.
Yep.
So the next question here, please clarify the $750 fee. So with the $750 monthly fee, the broker can offer BerniePortal to an unlimited number of employers. To an unlimited, and I mean, I guess if Haley, if you don't mind going back to the model slide, maybe one.
Tell me when to stop,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, right here. Oh, yeah, right here. So the $750 fee is so that the broker can offer onboarding and benefits administration to as many clients as it wants. And as you think about our business model, we have a pretty big competitor in our space that is more of a benefits administration point solution. And they have a lot of integrations with other payroll companies and things. And we obviously think that's the wrong long-term path for a broker. But we're often compared to them by brokers. And what I would say is, we offer a lot more support. We help with all the build outs. Part of this is because we have all of these other features that employers can upgrade to. So we really want you to succeed in getting your book of business on our platform. And like small employers, our average group size is roughly 50 employees. So we really want to help, or we're financially incented to really help you succeed and to help your account management succeed in getting the groups implemented with onboarding and benefits. Because once they're on there, and Haley, if you go to the next slide, we have recruiting, PTO tracking, time and attendance, payroll, compliance, performance, all of these things that HR, the employer, can choose to pay for and add. And so that $750 a month that we're charging you as the broker to offer onboarding and benefits is certainly a very important part of our business model. But the real even bigger long-term opportunity is when those employers are already using and loving onboarding and benefits, and they're saying, huh, I can do payroll here all in one. That'd be pretty cool. Oh, there's a free edition of recruiting. I can try out recruiting and then maybe do the paid edition. What's that look like? And they can do it all within our system. And then we have, as Anna said, a dedicated employer success team. So any employer who upgrades, they're not bothering their broker with random questions about this stuff. They come to our employer success team and we directly support them. So I hope that helps clear up the pricing question. And Haley, I know we're at time too.
Yeah, that was perfect timing, actually. If there are any other questions that come up, maybe when you jump off this call afterwards, you are more than welcome to connect with me directly or Anna or Alex if you have their contact information, but we will get your question answered, and I'm happy to direct those questions to the BerniePortal team. So I do want to thank Alex and Anna for your thought leadership today and sharing your expertise, and thanking everybody who joined us today. Our next webinar is going to be on August 20th, and the topic is going to be signs it is time to move to self-funded. So if you need more information about how to register for these webinars or have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to me, or if you are a partner firm clients, you can reach out to your partner firm to ask for more questions. But I want to thank everyone for attending today, and we look forward to you joining us next month. And it does look like, yes, the presentation is recorded and it will be out on the community shortly. And we will make sure that everybody has access to this recording. So thank you for answering that or asking that question as well. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great
Thank you,
rest of the day.
everybody.